Do you know that the right time to make a New Year's resolution is not in January, the new year? It's right now. Not just because the best time to plant a tree is always 20 years ago, and the second best time is right now. It's because the habits that you put into place now in the fall are more likely to last than ones that you try to put in place later, sometime in January. How many of you like to do goal setting, to have something in mind that you'd like to achieve? Okay, only a few of you. So this is important then, that we work through this. Okay? One of your goals could be, hey, when the guy asks you a question in church, you put up your hand if you mean it. Okay? Small goals, it's important. I listened to a podcast by John Acuff, who's a great author, and he has a podcast called All It Takes Is a Goal. And he just kind of looks at all of the different things that kind of people want to do, but never put it into gear. And the way that people put things into gear is to set a goal. Here's a couple of quotes. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. That's one by Tony Robbins. Here's another one that I think is good for us today. There are only 2 rules for being successful. 1, figure out exactly what you want to do. And 2, do it. Okay? Mario Cuomo is the person who gave us that quote. I think that's helpful. So last fall, we launched our Discipleship Pathway. Again, a place where everybody can find their next step kind of on their spiritual journey. We launched this and we kind of walk through. You can see it over here. Celebrate big, connect small, walk with Jesus, share the work, and engage in mission. These 5 different kind of areas where we want you to kind of reflect and see where you're at and where you could potentially grow. Okay? And we would love it if everyone were to take a little bit of time here in the fall to kind of reflect and evaluate where you are in these categories and how potentially you could grow in your spiritual walk or your journey, your relationship with God, being a disciple or making disciples. Okay? We've developed an assessment to help do this. Okay, and some of you were around last fall and kind of went through this process with us. And we've spoken to a number of you that, again, just setting a goal, having something in mind was really, really helpful. Some of you set goals like, I want to spend more time reading my Bible. How many of you have set a goal like that and were able to kind of see some steps forward? Again, the raising hands thing is difficult for you, some of you folks. Okay, so there's lots of people who have kind of said, hey, it was really helpful to have a goal in mind. One of mine was, again, to spend time going through the whole Bible. So I've been doing a Bible in a year plan this year. Okay, this assessment is just a way to answer a few questions about 15 different steps. So kind of in these 5 categories, we've outlined just 3 simple steps, perhaps in one of those categories, that you could take this year. Okay, I'm going to lead you through kind of this assessment process. We have paper copies for those of you who love to use a pen and write on something. If you'd like, our guest services teams have some of those if you would like a paper copy. If you are a digital native like myself, if you've got a phone, you can go to our website, hillcrestmj.com. We're going to do this right now, so grab your phone or get a copy. If you want a paper copy, put up your hand. You can at least take a look at it, and if you'd like to do it digitally on your phone, you can grab your smartphone, go to our website, hillcrestmj.com, and you can go to /next steps, or there's usually a pop-up that will actually get you, if you go to our website, it'll take you right to the next steps assessment. This is going to just be a brief reflection that we do this morning to think about perhaps how you could grow spiritually or a step that you could take on your spiritual journey. Okay, so grab a paper copy if you need one, pull out your phone, and let's take a look at this, okay? So again, Christianity is all about understanding the teaching of Jesus, who he was, and embracing his teaching in our lives, but not limited to just our own lives. Being a disciple of Jesus also means that you're supposed to become a disciple maker. And we can kind of see that in our discipleship pathway. Again, Celebrate Big is these kind of gatherings where we gather together for worship and for teaching to kind of be a part of the whole body here at Hillcrest, where people can come and check out Christianity and learn more about the Bible, that kind of thing. So we have these big gatherings, but we also see that the early church also gathered in smaller ways, smaller groups. So we think it's important to be in an environment where you can connect small, build relationships. That's why we have life groups and other Bible studies and things. So you can really get to know people well, and you can grow in your discipleship that way as well. So big crowds, smaller gatherings, but then there's also your own personal walk with Jesus. So that's where we have Walk with Jesus. These are kind of your inner things like prayer, Bible reading, working on the attitudes in your heart, that kind of thing. And then as we experience transformation, we begin to see other people around us share the work here at the church, using our gifts to bless one another. But then beyond that, we want to see transformation in our world. And so we want to engage in mission and move out into our city, our region, our country, our world, and take the love of Jesus to all of those places. Okay, hopefully that's enough time. You've got a paper copy or the assessment, or you've decided, I'm going to sit this week out. And that's okay too. We're going to remind you about this a few more times here this fall. Okay, let's take a look at going through the assessment. So after you've filled out your personal information with your name, email, contact information, let's say this prayer together. God, help me to know what my next step is, and then help me to take it. Okay, so 15 steps. We're trying to keep it really simple, but we believe these 15 steps are really good indicators that you're on your way spiritually and you're not kind of just coasting or losing ground. Okay, first one, let's hop into kind of the first category of celebrate big. We're going to look at these questions. And again, if you want to go at your own pace and fill things out, by all means, go at your own pace. But I'll kind of walk through just so everyone understands what's happening, what we hope from doing this process together as a church. Again, if you do the online version, at the end you'll hit submit. You'll get an email with all your results so you won't forget kind of what you clicked on. And it'll allow us to know the areas that you'd like to grow in, and then we can have, make sure that you're reminded about those supports as they're coming up, different groups, programs, events, resources, that kind of thing, okay? So we want to play our part in helping support you on your journey. That's kind of what we do here. Okay, number 1, commit to attend church regularly, okay? If any of these statements are true of you, this might be a next step for you, okay? I only come to church when I'm invited by a friend or a family member. If that's true of you, check the box. Other activities take priority over attending church. That could be a variety of different things. That could be sports or catching up on emails. It could be waffles versus church and waffles winning more than church is. Whatever it is, again, just like in giving, decide in your heart, listen to the Holy Spirit, and invite Him to highlight if there's something that is keeping you from attending church regularly. If the statement is true of you, I go weeks or months without going to church, just check that box. Again, this is an opportunity for yourself to just be honest with where you're at. Again, maybe you're most often a Christmas or an Easter Christian. The C&E Christians, have you heard of these? People who just kind of go to Christmas at the high points in the year, 1, 2, done. But maybe this summer you were nearly struck by lightning and you thought, you know what, I better just check in. So you're here today and going through this process with us. Okay, again, number 2, invite someone to church. So if this is true of you, check this box. I know people that would benefit from coming to church, but I've been too afraid or too apathetic to even ask them. Okay, if that's true of you, check that box. If this is true of you, I've never invited anyone to church, or I haven't invited anyone to church lately. Maybe you were very successful in the early 80s, but it's been a while. Okay, let's keep moving. Go public with your faith. If you have not been baptized, go ahead and check that box. Perhaps that's a next step for you. If you've just become a Christian, check that box. Or if God is working in your life and you want to share what He's doing in your life with Hillcrest, check that box. Okay, connect small. 3 different things as steps you can take is to join a group, to lead within a group, or to start a group. So again, joining a group, I'm not connected to a Hillcrest group. And that's true of you, check it off. Or I'm looking for ways to get to know people. I need support from other people, but I'm not in a life group. If any of those are true of you, go ahead and check those boxes. Lead in a group. If these are true of you, again, just check them off. I'm not ready to be the leader, but I'm willing to learn more about leadership. Go ahead and check that box. I'm willing to be a co-leader. Okay, go ahead and check that box. Or I'm ready to lead my group. Okay? Maybe you have a group leader who's great, but they are wanting to start a new group. If this is true of you, I'm ready to launch a new discipleship group here at Hillcrest. If that's you, check the box. There's a group of people I'm currently leading spiritually that isn't officially a Hillcrest group. Check that box. Okay? Or I've got a great idea for a new group at Hillcrest. Go ahead and check that box. Okay, let's look at Walk with Jesus. 3 different things that you can do as steps here. Explore Christianity, practice spiritual disciplines, or seek personal renewal. So if any of those statements are true of you, go ahead and check those off. I have unsettled questions about certain aspects of Christianity and the Bible. If that's you, go ahead and check that box. Maybe your next step is to just do some exploring in Christianity, and we'd like to help you with that. I want to know more about Jesus. Hey, I'm new to all of this. I'm just here to kind of figure things out. Go ahead and check that box. Or maybe you've just become a Christian. Someone led you to Christ, and you're just wanting to get started on your journey. Go ahead and check that box. Number 8, practice spiritual disciplines. I don't know how to pray or read my Bible. If that's true of you, go ahead and check that box. If you don't often read your Bible or don't often pray, doing personal devotions, check that box. We'd love to help you with that. Or the other one there, I'd like to get started with other spiritual disciplines like fasting or confession, worship, rest, and all of the others. Ways to help you in your inner life and your walk with Jesus. Okay? Number 9 is to seek personal renewal. So if these are true of you, go ahead and check these off. I have been hurt by others and need to forgive and find healing. I keep struggling with destructive habits. Or I feel like I'm not moving forward in my relationship with God. If those statements are true of you, go ahead and check those off. Let's continue moving. Under share the work, discover your gifts. I don't know what my spiritual gifts are. If that's true of you, go ahead and check that off. I would like to help share the work at Hillcrest, but I'm not sure how. If that's true of you, go ahead and check that off. I know what my strengths are, but I don't know where they fit. Continuing on here, I'm ready to serve on a team here at Hillcrest. If that's you, please let us know. I'm ready to lead a team at Hillcrest. I've got a great idea for how I could help here at Hillcrest. If that's true, go ahead and let us know. And I'm not an official member here at Hillcrest Church, but I would like to play my part in the future of the church. If that's true, maybe becoming a member is a next step for you. Or I would like to know more about Hillcrest's history, leadership, and plans for the future. If you let us know, we'll let you know about our membership classes and when you can learn about those things. I want to clarify my commitment to Hillcrest through membership. Your next step might be becoming a member. Okay, our final category here, and then we'll be moving on. Engaging in mission. So this is number 13, support ministry partners. I'd like to know more about Hillcrest's ministry partners. Or I want to serve with one of Hillcrest's ministry partners, like Joe's Place or other kinds of ministries like that. I want to support one of Hillcrest's ministry partners financially. If that's you, let us know. Okay, the 14th step here, tithing and generosity. If any of these are true of you, go ahead and check them off. I'm not regularly supporting Hillcrest financially. If that's you, go ahead and check that off. I would like to know about specific financial needs or opportunities. If that's you, let us know. I need to learn more about managing my finances. If that's you, check that box off. We're excited to be launching a financial course later this year, and we would love to help people grow in that area. Okay, number 15, lifestyle of prayer evangelism. I don't have a list of specific people that I'm praying for that will come to faith in Jesus. If you don't have a list of specific people that you're praying for, check that box. Here's another one. I struggle with sharing the gospel with others. Either I don't know if I should, I'm afraid of rejection, or I just don't know how. If you have any of those kind of feelings, you struggle with sharing the gospel with others, go ahead and check that box. Or, I don't often spend time with non-believers. If that's you, go ahead and check that off. Okay, now that we've gone through and answered those questions, this is kind of the next step. Before you kind of hit submit on your form, if you're doing the online version, go back and look where did your check marks land? If there's kind of a clear leader that most of the check marks ended up in being in one particular category or one particular next step, one of the 15 things, then that's your next step that you can focus on in growth this year. Okay? Then you can go ahead and let us know, of 1 through 15, which one is your next step. Now, if there's not a clear leader, if it seems like you've got kind of check marks all over the place, maybe there's 2 that you can identify, or if it just kind of seems like, boy, I could take a step in any one of these categories, that's great. Taking a step is the important thing. Again, as you kind of go through this process, reflect on how you can grow, set goals. We believe that many of you are going to begin to take steps, be successful, follow through, grow in these areas, and then you can come back and kind of reevaluate later on. Okay, so once you hit the submit button, again, that will let us know where you are at. And again, we're just going to be here to support you on your journey. If you've done the paper copy, we would also love to see what your results were. Again, we're not sharing this with anybody else, but we'd love to know so that we can let you know about how we are here as Hillcrest to support you in your goals. So if you have filled out the paper copy, we could swing by the office and make a copy so that we have kind of what your next step is. Okay, thank you. I really appreciate you taking this much time to kind of go through this and to reflect in this way about how you could take a step forward. And we encourage you to do that. If you haven't done it, again, you can take more time out. Maybe you want to take one of these with you, or maybe you want to, again, visit this assessment online later this week. We'll be reminding people about this in the coming weeks, but we really think it's important to think about what's coming, setting some goals, and seeing if you can move forward in these areas. Hopefully you'll find this process helpful. We've been thinking and praying about you as you go through this process for a number of months now, and are very excited to see what God will do in our hearts.